Whoa, extreme close-up. Today we're learning facial rigging! Whee! Alright, so where we left off, we had our character rigged properly. So it's doing everything that it's supposed to be doing. So now what we have left to do is some facial rigging, and then after that maybe some supplementary like hand shapes and different things that we can add, but we'll get into that later. So first off, the first thing I like to do is know what I'm planning on rigging, and then making a little tiny template that I can put nulls next to and stay somewhat organized. Alright, so what these are just a bunch of text layers and shape layers that I've locked and hidden so that they would just be out of the way and just kind of be like the template. So where we left off is a little bit different than what you're seeing here. You probably just have a shape layer for the head, and that's fine, that's where you should be. But what we're gonna need to do is make that into a composition. Now you probably should have done this beforehand, or I should have done this beforehand, but I'm going to blame you because it's easier. What you're going to need to do is unlink your shape layer. So that would just be, if this was the shape layer, that was the head, just go to none, make sure none selected, and then click on your shape layer, go to layer, pre-compose it, go into your newfound pre-composition. You probably have a wider composition. If you go to the select region of interest and just select your head, and then up to composition, crop comp to region of interest, that makes it a little bit easier to deal with when you are in the master comp. And then go ahead and readjust your anchor point so that it's back where it originally was, and then you're going to relink it back to the chest shape layer. So you do that, and then you should be up to speed with where I'm at now, for the most part, because we'll go in and you can see that I've obviously have dressed the head up. It's just merely shapes and stuff like that, so it's nothing that is really too hard. It's just time consuming and to show you, so just feel free to dress the head up the way that you want. And now let's go into making the eyes, the pupils, the eyebrows, the eyelids, the mouth shapes. So first off, we can start with the eyes. Let's go ahead and start making his eyeballs. Now they're not going to be square, so let's not do that. Go ahead and make sure our Roto Bezier is selected. And now I don't like it to be a perfect circle. That's why I'm using this and not the ellipse tool. And let's go ahead and make it white. Now I know he kind of looks like an Oompa right now. Is that purpose? On purpose? I don't know. Maybe. Subliminally. Alright, so let's make the second eye. Now, depending how you have your head shaped, it should be at somewhat of a 3/4 position, so this eye might be a little bit smaller than his left eye, or well, the way we're looking at his left eye. Alright, so that works. So let's go and name that eye sockets. Alright, now let's go ahead and continue and make some pupils. Let's go ahead and turn this up. And make sure that your rasterization is on your head pre-comp. That way when you scale it in the master, that it stays vector based. Alright, so let's go back in and do the eyeballs. So eyeball 1, let's go ahead and copy paste eyeball 2. I feel like their eyes are really big, so let's go ahead and scale them down a little bit. Just a little bit. Alright, so they're in position, so let's go ahead and pre-compose them. so that they're together. Eyeball pre-comp. Alright, so let's go in our eyeball comp and go ahead and do that. Select the region of interest, just so that it's a little bit more tidy. It doesn't have to be really very accurate because it's just cleaning up our head comp. Now it's going to move it around, but that's fine. We'll just move it back. And that's good. Somewhat. It kind of looks like his eyes. Wonky. Let's go ahead and start with the eyebrows. And turn off Roto Bezier. I like to pretend I'm French when I say that. Bezier. I guess it could be white eyebrows. That works. And so this one's a little bit more bushy, which is fine. We'll do right eyebrow, left eyebrow. Good. And let's go ahead and do the closed position of the mouth. So let's go ahead. For the mouth, I don't know if I want to go black, so I might just do a darker shade of his skin tone. That works. So let's go ahead and name that mouth. And let's pre-compose that for now. Layer pre-compose. Mouth shapes. Alright, so leave that alone for now. And let's go ahead and duplicate the eye sockets and bring it above your eyeball pre-comp and toggle your switches. And we're going to alpha matte. That way, when we move our eyes, they stay inside the eye sockets. So, cool. And let's go ahead and make our eyelids. This one I'm going to just make each one, actually they're not going to be independent, they're going to be together. So if I made a layer, and let's call this the upper eyelids. And let's go ahead and duplicate our eye sockets again and bring it above our upper eyelid. Select alpha matte on our upper eyelids. Perfect. Alright, and it looks like we're getting a little bit of bleed. So what we'll do is on the eye sockets, add a, once this loads up here, we're going to add a choker. A simple choker. And let's put a 1 on, nope. Let's do a -1. Perfect. Maybe -2. Cool. That works and gives a little bit of dimension too. So that works. Now let's duplicate the upper eyelids. Control D. And let's move the anchor point to about right there in the middle. Hit W and rotate. Hold Shift and it should snap to 180. And let's bring them down so that when they close they look pretty decent. Cool. And let's duplicate our eye sockets again and do the same thing where we're going to alpha. They're already alphaed since we duplicated our upper eyelid, so let's go ahead and rename it to lower eyelids. Perfect. And they've already got their simple choker on, so that should be fine on the bottom. So that's looking good. So good news is everything's created. Now we just need to make sure that all the anchor points are where we need them to be. So for example, the eyebrows. Let's start with the right eyebrow. Let's go ahead and select the anchor point for it. Hitting Y, you can move the anchor point, pan behind tool. And with L, or on the left eyebrow, let's go ahead and hit Y again. And position where we want the eyebrows to rotate. That should be fine. That should work. Okay. And now let's go ahead and make sure our mouth shapes we haven't messed with. So let's go ahead and go inside our mouth shapes. And let's select a region of interest. I'm going to leave this a little bit bigger than normal because our different shapes are going to take up a different amount of room. So let's go ahead and crop. And let's select our mouth layer. And go ahead and hit Alt, close bracket. And what that will do is, let's go ahead and go to one frame in. It's gone, so we're going to create another mouth. And this one will be, let's just do a open mouth, like pose. So he's got a open mouth pose. Let's go ahead and center that up a little bit. Actually, we should probably name this. So and closed. Alright, now so you're probably wondering what to do next. That should be a very good thought process because you're watching a tutorial. So let's go ahead and go back to our master comp. And now that we have everything created, we can start linking things to nulls, our controllers, and having fun. So I created a null. Let's go ahead and take that over here, and I'm going to get a different color, something that stands out. Fuchsia. I'm going to name it iController, and I'm going to shrink it down a little bit and bring it next to the eyeballs. Alright, so now you want to start up your Duik script that we used in the first part of the tutorial, because you will need to zero the positions of everything that you're going to link together. And I will show you why. The reason why you want to zero the positions of each thing that you're linking is a very good reason, because things will start flying all over the place because you're linking something from one comp to another, and it's got different points of reference as far as position numbers. So let's go into our head, and I'm going to drag actually the head comp down to the bottom so that I can see both compositions. Alright, so if I open up, let's say, the position of the iController, you can see that it's not zeroed in the X and Y coordinates. So let's go to our eyeball pre-comp inside of our head and also hit P, bring down the position. You can also see that it's not zeroed. So I'm going to alt-click on the stopwatch of the position, and I'm going to pick whip to the position of the eyeball controller in the master comp. And let's go back to the master comp, and his eyes are gone. I honestly have no idea where they are. They're probably up here somewhere. But that is the reason why you need to zero before you start linking things. So let's undo that. Let's go into our head comp, and in the Duik script there is a zero function. You will click that, and you can see that it is zeroed. In the same fashion, go into the master comp and zero the iController. Now let's do the same thing. Alt click on the stopwatch, pick whip to the position of the eyeball controller, and do we have it? Did it work? I like to view things in full, and yes, it did. Now this may be a little bit too much control, like it's moving very fast compared to like what I'm moving the null. So what you can do with that is go back into your head, into the expression, you can add something at the end, a divided by, let's do 15. Let's see what that does. This should make it a little bit less. There we go. That might be a little too much, but let's actually take that back down to maybe divided by 6. Let's say. And that does help out. So I might have some more control in where my eyes are looking and they're not moving so drastic. So great. Alright, so now let's move on to the next controller. And I'm going to go back to the master comp and make 2 more nulls. And I'm going to also make this fuchsia and shrink it down. This one might be a little bit smaller. And I'm going to name it left eyebrow controller. Sweet. And I'm going to duplicate that. And I'm going to make a right one as well. And I didn't want to click that. Right. Let's go back to our comp. Alright, and let's move it over. Alright, and 0 each controller. And also bring down the position. And we'll bring down rotation as well while we're at it. And this one did not 0. So let's, you can always verify whether or not it zeros. So let's 0 that out. Perfect. Alright. In our head comp, let's go ahead and check out our eyebrows. And I'm going to recolor these so that they're easier to see. And I'm going to go ahead and bring down the positions and rotations. Let's go ahead and 0 each one as well. And let's go ahead and pick whip. I'll click the stopwatch on the right eyebrow, pick whip to the right eyebrow's position in the master comp, doing the same with the rotation. And the same with the left eyebrow position and rotation. Now let's go into our master and check it out. We've got control of the rotation and position. Sweet. And now if you wanted to also add that expression at the end divided by maybe 4 to each one, it might help the drasticness of moving that null. Cool. Perfect. Alright, so we got those. Now let's go ahead and move to our eyelids before we get into the mouth. Eyelids are the same as both the eyebrows and the eyeballs as far as zeroing the positions. Let's go ahead and position. And 0, 0. And let's go back to our master comp and we're going to make another null. New null. And rename that eyelid up. And let's go ahead and position that where we want it. Let's go ahead and put it up top. And we'll make this fuchsia as well. Close those up. And let's duplicate. And bring this down, so this will be the lower eyelids. Eyelid down. And I'll just bring that down there. Let's go ahead and bring the positions up and verify that we 0 the positions. Cool. Alright, so let's go ahead and link the position again. like we did before. This is the lower eyelid, so let's go ahead and make that. And connect the upper eyelid to the position. And let's verify they work. Perfect. Whoa, dude. And that looks like it. Oh, I know why. Since I duplicated the upper eyelid in this comp, it's treating it like it's upside down. So let's go ahead and fix that. And the lower eyelids, let's do a minus the front end. And let's try that again. There we go. So now we bring them up, they close. So if that ever happens where something is moving in the opposite direction that you intend it to, go into the expression and just add a minus up front, and that will reverse whatever you did wrong. Shame on you. So let's go ahead and do the mouths. Do the mouth. Let's go into our mouth shapes. And we're going to right click, go to time, enable time remapping. Open up our master comp, make a new null. Name it mouth controller. And let's move it. Here I made a closed, so I can start that there. Let's go ahead and 0 it and change the color. Orange is fine. Orange will do. And we zeroed. Let's go ahead and link our time remap to the X position. Now I knew you were going to go to the position, but you're going to the X position because also you're going to want to divide by 1,000 and go back to your master comp. Now you did the X position because you do not want this null to do anything besides go left and right. So it's primarily when you go right, you're scrubbing right into the mouth shapes comp. So you can see that works perfectly. And if you make more mouth shapes as you keep going, as they are 1 frame long, you can create as many as you want, and it's very, very cool and useful. And how you animate that is by just moving the null position. Make sure that you right click on your keyframe that you make at the beginning, toggle hold keyframes. That way whenever you move your null, it jumps right to that keyframe. It works perfect. And that is facial rigging. Now it's just fun times animating. So to sync up a voiceover track, it's as easy as bringing in your voiceover waveform, whatever format you bring it in. I like to put it underneath the mouth controller. Go ahead and double tap the L on your audio file and it'll bring up the waveform. And it's as easy as just extreme listening to your audio and keyframing. I may do another tutorial where I kind of cover animation and making walk cycles. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and if you haven't already subscribed, that would be great, and like the video, and also leave a comment below. Let me know what you think, whether you think it's garbage or whatever. I don't care. Just bye bye now. See you next video. Bye.